Question 1. In the context of log troubleshooting, Maria notices that Smart Console is displaying incomplete logs from a security gateway. Logs appear sporadically, and some are delayed by several minutes. She checks the log server and finds var log nearly full, and the dbmin list shows epochs of it restarting intermittently. What should Maria do first to stabilize log delivery? A. Delete older log files from the log server. B. Restart the Smart Console application. C. Increase the retention period for logs. D. Initiate a full solid array indexing. Answer. Correct answer. A. Delete all the log files from the log server. Explanation. A full varlog disk causes logging daemon failures. Cplox may crash or fail to write logs, leading to delays or lost entries. Deleting old logs frees space and allows the daemon to function. Smart Console restarts or solid indexing won't help unless disk space is available. Best practice includes setting log rotation policies, reference, checkpoint logging, and admin guide. Question 2. From a practical standpoint, which of the following scenarios best describes when SecureXL acceleration should be temporarily disabled to troubleshoot packet inspection anomalies? A. When packets are being dropped due to concurrent connection limits. B. When certain connections bypass stateful inspection entirely. C. When the traffic requires debugging with FWINSER at full inspection granularity. D. When VPN acceleration is suspected to reduce throughput. Answer. Correct answer. C. When the traffic requires debugging with FWINSER at full inspection granularity. Explanation. SecureXL accelerates packet processing but bypasses some inspection points. Disabling SecureXL ensures complete visibility at FWINSER. This is critical when troubleshooting policy enforcement or connection setup. VPN issues or concurrent limits relate more to CoreXL tuning or debugging. USEF Waxel cautiously during production hours. Ref, SecureXL and CoreXL admin guide. Question 3. Given the circumstances, Natalia needs to isolate LHCT traffic that was blocked due to app control policy originating from a specific subnet 192.168.1.0.0.24 in the last 24 hours. She's using Smart Console's logs and monitor view. Which advanced log filter query should she use? A. Action, drop and serve ATT send source 192.168.1.0.0b. Action, block and source 192.168.1.0.0.24 and application start and last HOURSC SRC 192.168.1.0.0.24 and action, block and IP name start and time the last 24 hours. E. SRC on 92.168.1.0 start and action reject and service 443. Answer. Correct answer. C. SRC on 92.168.1.0.0.24 and action, block and IP name star and time the last 24 hours. Explanation. The query syntax IP name star ensures app control logs are captured, specifying action, block, not reject, and the time filter at last 24 hours meets all requirements. Option A uses incorrect field service versus application, and B is missing the proper IP name filter. Smart Console filters must be precise for meaningful results. Ref, checkpoint, Smart Console logs, search syntax. Question 4. As illustrated by an unstable connection issue, OI enables kernel debugging on a security gateway user EL debug. Edible loss drop after collecting output will drop. He observes many drops due to rule-based drop. Rule 0. What does this imply and what should Hoi do next? A. That traffic is being dropped by an IP signature. B. That SecureXL is bypassing rule enforcement. C. That no rule matched the traffic and cleanup rule dropped it. D. That the implied rules are misconfigured. Answer. Correct answer. C. That no rule matched the traffic and cleanup rule dropped it. Explanation. Rule 0 refers to the implicit cleanup rule applied when no rule matches a connection. Hoi should inspect rule-based order and object definitions. It is a classic issue when expected traffic lacks an explicit allow rule. IPs or implied rules would generate different debug reasons. Kernel debug outputs are key to understanding rule-based behavior. ARTLEUG reference and firewall admin guide. Question 5. As illustrated by an unstable connection issue, OI enables kernel debugging on a security gateway user EL debug. edible lost drop after collecting output where Leo drop. He observes many drops due to rule-based drop. Rule 0. What does this imply and what should Hor do next? A. That traffic is being dropped by an IP signature. B. That SecureXL is bypassing rule enforcement. C. That no rule matched the traffic and cleanup rule dropped it. D. That the implied rules are misconfigured. Answer. Correct answer. C. That no rule matched the traffic and cleanup rule dropped it. Explanation. Rule 0 refers to the implicit cleanup rule applied when no rule matches a connection. Hor should inspect rule-based order and object definitions. It is a classic issue when expected traffic lacks an explicit allow rule. IPs or implied rules would generate different debug reasons. Kernel debug outputs are key to understanding rule-based behavior. AERTLEUG reference and firewall admin guide. Question 6. Throughout the course of NAT troubleshooting, Priya finds that inbound traffic from the internet to a web server behind the security gateway fails. Static NAT is defined correctly in the object and firewall rules are in place. However, no reply is sent from the web server, which is the most likely cause. A. The NAT rule incorrectly uses hide NAT instead of static NAT. B. The server's default gateway is not the firewall. C. The firewall is applying PAT instead of NAT. D. The public IP address is not defined in the object properties. Answer. Correct answer. B. The server's default gateway is not the firewall. Explanation. When using static NAT for inbound access, return traffic must route via the firewall. If the web server replies through another gateway, the connection breaks due to asymmetric routing. Hide NAT and PAT issues don't apply to inbound static NAT. Always verify correct routing on internal hosts. Ref. Checkpoint NAT troubleshooting best practices. Question 7. The effectiveness of ITES inspection depends on trust, but Louis reports that multiple users are getting browser warnings after TES inspection was enabled. He confirms that the certificate is pushed to VIGPO and the chain is valid. Which issue should Louis check next? A. Whether the internal DNS is resolving sites to internal IPs. B. Whether the browser trusts the issuing CAR. C. Whether intermediate certificates are missing from the certificate chain. D. Whether TTS inspection is using port 80 instead of 443. Answer. Correct answer. C. Whether intermediate certificates are missing from the certificate chain. Explanation. Browsers require a full certificate chain. If intermediate CAS are not present in the certificate, the gateway issues users may receive warnings despite trusting the root CAR. Ensure complete chain delivery via smart dashboard settings. Internal DNS or ports are not relevant here. Ref. Check HES inspection guide. Question 8. By comparing system performance metrics, what does consistently high values in the column of EMTAT indicate on a checkpoint security gateway? A. High context switching between user space daemons. B. Memory swapping due to low physical RAM. C. IO wait, possibly due to disk or storage latency. D. Excessive CPU age by SecureXL handlers. Answer. Correct answer. C. IO wait, possibly due to disk or storage latency. Explanation. In VMTAT represents the percentage of time the CPU waits for IO operations. Disk, not memory. I suggests disk bottlenecks, possibly affecting logging or threat prevention performance. This differs from CISO for swapping or RC for CPU load. Use ISTAP top and ITOP to confirm. Ref. Linux performance monitoring in GUI-OS. Question 9. While examining clusterXL behavior, Isabella notices frequent failovers between two cluster members. CPView shows interface flaps on ETH. ClusterXL debug CFAP prob if marks ETH is down intermittently. What is the most probable root cause? A. Asymmetric routing between cluster members. BMT mismatch on interface ETH. C. Physical layer instability or cabling issue. D. Inconsistent security policy installation. Answer. Correct answer. C. Physical layer instability or cabling issue. Explanation. Frequent interface flaps trigger clusterXL failovers. When interfaces marked as critical go down, failover occurs. MTU mismatches cause fragmentation, not link status changes. Policy inconsistency is unrelated. Replace cable or SFP and test link stability. Ref. ClusterXL troubleshooting guide. Question 10. The growing trend in using CPView for real-time diagnostics has helped administrators analyze performance bottlenecks. Rakesh wants to investigate periodic CPU spikes on his gateway. Which section of CPView should he prioritize? A. System uptime. B. Network packets. C. CPU top consumers. D. Disk errors. Answer. Correct answer, C. CPU top consumers explanation. This section reveals which daemons or cores are consuming CPU, helping identify misbehaving processes or threads. Uptime, network packets, and disk errors give complementary data, but not insight into CPU-specific issues. CPView offers historical and live data modes. CPView Reference Guide. Question 11. To illustrate this point, Daniel is investigating intermittent packet drops through the security gateway. Unatilayug drop and observes the message. Dropped by FWR call rule reason. Address spoofing. The interface is correctly defined in topology, and anti-spoofing is enabled. What should Daniel check next? A. Verify the route table to ensure correct routing for the subnet. B. Disable anti-spoofing on the affected interface. C. Replace the interface cable and check for link errors. D. Modify NAT rules to reflect updated IP ranges. Answer. Correct answer. A. Verify the route table to ensure correct routing for the subnet. Explanation. Address spoofing drops occur when the firewall receives packets with a source IP not expected on the receiving interface. Even if interface topology is correct, if the routing table is missing or misconfigured, traffic may appear spoofed. Disabling spoofing is not a solution. Validate via netstat, AREN or IP route show, ref, GUI-OS routing and anti-spoofing guide. Question 12. When faced with management HAR-sync failure, Ethan notices that his secondary management server is not receiving updates from the primary. The sync process times out and logs indicate a failure to fetch data over port 443. What is the most likely cause? A. The certificate authority is expired on the secondary server. B. The SIC trust is broken between the servers. C. The secondary server has disk space issues. D. The sync network is using a non-trusted interface. Answer. Correct answer. B. The SIC trust is broken between the servers. Explanation. Synchronization between management servers uses the SIC channel. If SIC is broken due to cert mismatch or manual reset, sync fails. Port 443 is used for various management services, but SIC communication relies on certificates TCP config to reset SIC and validate IPView or EDSAT. Ref. Management HAR Configuration Guide. Question 13. Contrary to popular belief, simply enabling @query in identity awareness is not sufficient. Layla observes that users are not being identified, and logs show only IP addresses. Identity awareness blade is active, and LDAP account unit is configured. Which step is most critical next? A. Install policy again to apply @query. B. Validate the WXS is allowed from gateway to DC. C. Increase the DNS timeout values in Smart Console. D. Clear browser cache and retry the captive portal. Answer. Correct answer. B. Validate the WXS is allowed from gateway to DC. Explanation. @query UW to pull user login events from domain controllers. With the WXS TCP 135 dynamic ports identification fails. IP-only logs confirm failure to resolve users. DNS or browser settings unrelated. Verify with SecSec or firewall rules. Ref. Identity Awareness Admin Guide. Question 14. With respect to packet inspection, if a packet arrives on the external interface and is allowed by the rule base, at which point does NAT occur in the checkpoint packet flow? A. Before SecureXL inspection and after session lookup. B. After smart defense processing but before routing decision. C. Before rule-based check and after it. D. After route lookup and outbound interface determination. Answer. Correct answer. D. After route lookup and outbound interface determination. Explanation. In checkpoint architecture, NAT happens after route lookup because the firewall needs to determine the egress interface to apply appropriate NAT IPs. This allows the correct mapping for hide NAT or static NAT. SecureXL or Smart Defense happen earlier or parallel in fast path. Ref. Checkpoint Security Gateway Packet Flow Guide. Question 15. As a result of increased file inspection load, Olivia finds that threat emulation is failing to analyze files received via email. Files are not blocked but are delivered without inspection. Logs show threat emulation status, bypass, load. What should Olivia do to resolve this? A. Increase the threat card's CPU allocation in Smart Console. B. Lower the maximum file size limit for emulation. C. Enable threat extraction fallback. D. Review emulation queue and add more emulation engines. Answer. Correct answer. D. Review emulation queue and add more emulation engines. Explanation. Bypass load. Status indicates the gateway is overloaded and skips emulation. Adding more local emulation engines, sandboxes, or using cloud-based sandbox can reduce load. File size config helps limit scope but doesn't resolve load issues. Ref. Threat Prevention Performance Tuning Guide. Question 16. In light of recent developments, Felix encounters a daemon crash on a gateway. A core dump is generated under Varlogged and Puser mode. To begin analysis, he uses the analyze core script but sees debug symbols missing. What is his next best step? A. Upload the core dump to Checkpoint Support Portal. B. Rerun the script with force. C. Enable core dump collection in cpconfig. D. Install the debug package matching the software version. Answer. Correct answer. D. Install the debug package matching the software version. Explanation. Core analysis requires the debug symbols available in the software's debug package (TGZ). Without it, backtrace info is missing. Uploading helps TAC but doesn't resolve locally. Force won't generate missing data. Core dump collection was already done. Ref. Checkpoint Core dump analysis guide. Question 17. During the process of policy deployment, Administrator Romy finds that a specific security gateway fails to install policy while all others succeed. Smart Console returns policy installation failed. Reason: could not resolve object size. What is the most probable cause? A. Network connectivity issue between management and gateway. B. Mismatch in OS version between gateways. C. Object size is used in the policy but does not exist in gateway's database. D. The rule base exceeds the maximum rule limit for that gateway. Answer. Correct answer. C. Object size is used in the policy but does not exist in gateway's database. Explanation. This error typically indicates database corruption or sync issue where referenced object exists in the management server but not on the gateway. Use dbver or force policy fetch, version mismatch, or rule limit as separate error messages. Ref. Policy Installation Troubleshooting Guide. Question 18. Examining the consequences of VPN misconfiguration, Henry reports that traffic is encrypted but replies from the remote site are being sent in clear text. VPN tunnel is up, and encryption domain is correct on the local side. What should Henry check next? A. That route-based VPN is disabled. B. That the remote peer has a matching encryption domain. C. That NAT is enabled on both ends. D. That the VPN community includes an externally managed gateway. Answer. Correct answer. B. That the remote peer has a matching encryption domain. Explanation. Split tunnel by AV usually occurs when the remote side's encryption domain is too narrow or incorrect. It causes the reply traffic to skip encryption. Encryption domains must match exactly on both ends. NAT and community roles are not the cause here. Ref. Site-to-site VPN admin guide. Question 19. From multiple perspectives, cpinfo is essential for troubleshooting. What is a primary advantage of cInfo over manual log and config review? It displays real-time logs during collection. B. It automatically uploads debug files to the cloud. C. It aggregates configuration, logs, and version data into a single support file. D. It disables blades temporarily during analysis. Answer. Correct answer. C. It aggregates configuration, logs, and version data into a single support file. Explanation. cpinfo creates a complete diagnostic snapshot including version info, blade status logs, and routing tables. It's the first step in TAC escalation. It doesn't show real-time logs or affect system behavior. And use cpinfo O2 collect at RAF. Checkpoint Support Tools Guide. Question 20. In comparison with GUI-based management, API access is failing for developer Sarah who's using the correct credentials and domain. The error returned is error not allowed to access the API. Sarah is part of the read-only administrators group. What should be done to grant API access? A. Change API version in the script to match the gateway. B. Add Sarah's IP to the API access list in Smart Console. C. Move Sarah to role with write permissions. D. Restart the API daemon on the management server. Answer. Correct answer. B. Add Sarah's IP to the API access list in Smart Console. Explanation: API access must be explicitly allowed from certain IPs via Smart Console API settings. Even with correct credentials, unauthorized IPs will be blocked. Permissions define access level, but IP must be whitelisted. Use API status to verify allowed IPs. Ref. Checkpoint API reference guide. Question 21. Considering the evidence, Rachel finds that after upgrading the security management server, the database becomes corrupted, resulting in revision control errors and policy installation failures. She suspects corruption due to interrupted database writes. What is the best immediate step Rachel should take to restore management functionality? A. Restore the database from the most recent backup and synchronize revisions. B. Restart the management server services to force database consistency. C. Reinstall the security management server from scratch. D. Manually edit the database files to remove corrupt entries. Answer. Correct answer A. Restore the database from the most recent backup and synchronize revisions. Explanation: management database corruption usually requires restoring from a backup to return the system to a consistent state. Restarting services won't fix corruption. Manual edits risk further damage. Reinstalling is last resort and causes downtime. Proper revision synchronization ensures policy consistency across gateways. Always maintain frequent backups per best practices. Ref. Checkpoint management server backup and restore guide. Question 22. In a modern context of high availability, Amir observes that his ClusterXL environment is experiencing unexpected failovers. Upon detailed inspection, he finds discrepancies in state synchronization between cluster members after interface resets. What is the most likely cause of these failovers? A. Misconfigured ClusterXL monitoring settings causing false interface down detections. B. VPN tunnels interfering with cluster state synchronization. C. Incompatible firewall policies across cluster members. D. Insufficient CPU resources to maintain cluster states. Answer. Correct answer A. Misconfigured ClusterXL monitoring settings causing false interface down detections. Explanation: ClusterXL monitors interfaces to determine failover triggers. If monitoring thresholds are too sensitive or misconfigured, minor glitches cause unnecessary failovers. VPN tunnels and CPU limits affect performance but not typically cluster state sync. Policy mismatches cause policy errors, not interface sync problems. ClusterXL monitoring configs for interface flapping. Ref. ClusterXL monitoring configuration. Question 23. Upon closer examination, Sarah notes that remote access VPN clients fail to connect to the gateway after a recent policy update. The logs indicate that user authentication succeeds, but IPsec tunnel establishment fails. What is the most probable cause of this issue? A. The client operating system is incompatible with the VPN client version. B. The VPN community no longer includes the remote access client group. C. The gateway's IPsec services are stopped or malfunctioning. D. The policy update removed the necessary tunnel access rules. Answer. Correct answer. D. The policy update removed the necessary tunnel access rules. Explanation: if authentication succeeds but tunnel establishment fails, missing or incorrect access rules are often to blame. VPN communities and policies govern allowed traffic. Service stoppages cause complete failures. Client OS incompatibility leads to earlier connection failures. Reviewing rule base and restoring correct tunnel access is critical. Ref. Remote VPN troubleshooting guide. Question 24. While examining the authentication logs, David sees repeated TACACS plus authentication failures for a user despite the user's credentials being verified elsewhere. The firewall logs show timeout errors communicating with the TACACS plus server. What should David check first? A. Whether the TACACS plus server's IP address is correct in the firewall configuration. B. If the firewall's CPU is overloaded, causing delays. C. That the firewall's clock is synchronized with the TACACS Plus server. D. That the user's password has expired on the TACACS Plus server. Answer. Correct answer 8. Whether the TACACS Plus server's IP address is correct in the firewall configuration. Explanation. Timeouts usually indicate connectivity or address misconfiguration issues. Correct IP and reachable port must be verified first. Overload CPU or clock skew may cause intermittent issues, but not timeouts. Password expiry causes authentication denials, not timeouts. Checking connectivity with ping and telnet to TACACS Plus port is best practice. Ref. TACACS Plus Authentication Guide. Question 25. From multiple perspectives, Ethan needs to capture live packet data to debug traffic that is unexpectedly dropped by the firewall. He decides to UFW Unitor. What is the best practice Ethan should follow to get useful data without impacting system performance significantly? A. Run FW Unitor without filters for comprehensive data. B. UALEUG instead of FW Unitor for better performance. C. Apply capture filters to limit traffic to the affected source and destination YITs. D. Stop all other daemons before running the FW Unitor. Answer. Correct answer. C. Apply capture filters to limit traffic to the affected source and destination YITs. Explanation. FW Unitor captures large amounts of traffic and can impact performance if not filtered. Applying specific filters to capture only relevant packets reduces overhead and simplifies analysis. A OELUIUG is for kernel debug messages, not packet capture. Stopping daemons is unnecessary and disruptive. Ref. Packet capture and troubleshooting best practices. Question 26. While evaluating the merits of firewall optimization, Jasmine notices high CPU urge on a single core despite the gateway having multiple CPU cores available. She suspects CoreXL is not fully utilized. What should Jasmine do to improve CPU distribution? A. Disable SecureXL to force CoreXL to distribute traffic. B. Increase the number of CoreXL firewall instances to match CPU cores. C. Update the firewall software to the latest version. D. Use Smart Console to optimize the rule base. Answer. Correct answer. B. Increase the number of CoreXL firewall instances to match CPU cores. Explanation. CoreXL allows multiple firewall instances, each mapped to EPU cores, for parallel packet processing. If instances are fewer than cores, CPUs remain underutilized. SecureXL is an acceleration technology and does not affect CoreXL instance count. Rule-based optimization improves efficiency but not CPU core usage directly. Ref. Core Performance Tuning Guide. Question 27. In the absence of expected NAT translations, Alex finds that packets from internal hosts to the internet are leaving with private IP addresses rather than translated public IPs. Static NAT is not configured, but hide NAT rules exist. What should Alex check to resolve this problem? A. The order of NAT rules to ensure hide NAT rules are prioritized. B. That the firewall's external interface is correctly defined in topology. C. That the firewall's default gateway is reachable. D. That the hide NAT rules are installed on the correct gateways. Answer. Correct answer. D. That the hide NAT rules are installed on the correct gateways. Explanation. NAT rules must be installed on the gateways handling the traffic. If the rules are installed only on management or irrelevant gateways, translation won't occur. Rule order is important, but incorrect rule placement is common cause. Interface and routing issues cause different symptoms. Ref. NAT rule base and installation best practices. Question 20. At the heart of this issue, Olivia discovers that a newly added security gateway is in the management domain, but shows as disconnected within Smart Console. SIG handshake fails repeatedly. What troubleshooting steps should Olivia take first? A. Verify that the gateway's hostname resolves correctly via DNS. B. Reboot the security gateway. C. Reinstall the management server. D. Disable firewall policy on the gateway. Answer. Correct answer. A. Verify that the gateway's hostname resolves correctly via DNS. Explanation. SIG relies on name resolution for trust and communication. Incorrect or missing DNS entries cause handshake failures. Reboots or policy changes don't address trust issues. Reinstallation is last resort. You CE dump and ping to test connectivity after DNS verification. Ref. SICK Troubleshooting Guide. Question 29. Taking into account the latest logs, Leo observes that files scanned by the antivirus blade are occasionally not detected as malicious despite signatures being up to date. What could cause this? A. The antivirus blade is disabled in the security policy. B. The files are encrypted or packed in a way that prevents scanning. C. The antivirus signature update schedule is incorrect. D. The gateway CPU is too busy to scan all files. Answer. Correct answer. B. The files are encrypted or packed in a way that prevents scanning. Explanation. Encrypted or packed files can evade signature scanning until unpacked. The antivirus blade must be enabled, but an enabled blade doesn't guarantee detection. Signature currency and CPU affect detection but do not prevent scanning altogether. Ref. Threat prevention antivirus troubleshooting. Question 30. Within the framework of logging, Sophia finds that some logs are missing from the Smart Event console, that they appear in raw logs on the log server. The Solr search index service shows errors. What is the most appropriate action to fix the issue? A. Restart the Solr service on the log server. B. Increase the log retention period in the policy. C. Reinstall Smart Event on the management server. D. Clear all logs and start fresh indexing. Answer. Correct answer. A. Restart the Solr service on the log server. Explanation. Solr indexes logs for fast querying in Smart Event. Errors often require restarting the Solr service to restore indexing functionality. Increasing retention or reinstalling is unnecessary unless corrupted. Clearing logs causes data loss. Ref. Checkpoint log server and Smart Event troubleshooting.